The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Why we do what we do in life and in business. This was one of the first books I ever bought for myself and probably one of the most insightful ones on learned aka habitual behavior and why it's so difficult for us to change once we've become used to certain quirks. It's like we're programming our own mind and body with every action that we take or avoid taking, and then we're all surprised when our complex robot brain gets accustomed to what we've programmed ourselves to do, feel and think. Ironically, one of the habits I wanted to establish for myself when buying the book was to read about an hour every day, and I wanted to achieve that by reading this book. However, I procrastinated for months. Every day I came home from work or even a training on top, I felt so tired that reading was the last thing on my mind. And I want you to consider this. Between buying a book, reading a book, and applying the book can lie a substantial amount of time, so don't beat yourself up for procrastinating every once in a while. Just like a battery, we need to recharge. When I was ready, I read the book from front to back on one weekend, taking notes, feeling shocked at a scary fireball incident, angry at a pathological gambler's way of losing everything, and intrigued by the author's experiment to keep himself from snacking cookies at work. It was fascinating. The most groundbreaking lesson I took away from The Power of Habit must be that you cannot really erase old patterns or say, delete a bad habit. That's why it's so easy for us to fall back into our old ways. It's something we're familiar and strangely comfortable with. But comfort oftentimes is the very source of our bad habits. Eating junk food and drinking soda is easier and thus more comfortable than learning as much as possible about nutrition and carefully paying attention to what you put in your body. However, since you can't erase your bad habits, you have to replace them with a good habit. What a lot of people tend to do here is replace one bad habit with another bad habit, then fall back into old patterns, and now they're off way worse, with two bad habits. You see this, for example, when heavy smokers decide to stop themselves from abusing their lungs, which is great. And it goes well for a few weeks, maybe, but then whenever they felt that itch for a smoke, they ate some candy that was lying around, or even indulged in an extra meal per day, and in record time they gain a lot of weight, feel miserable, go back to smoking again, and now they're at a new all-time low. Instead, what our prime example could have done is discipline him or herself to run a mile, do a few jumping jacks or push-ups, whenever he or she felt the need for a cigarette. I remember having this one talk with a fairly obese, heavy smoker superior of mine at the office. I was smart enough not to talk about fat loss or anything of that nature with her, but she was bugging me. Somehow the topic addiction came up and she asked me and my coworker if we drank alcohol regularly, if we smoked or even tried anything illegal. And first of all, I would have never told her, yes, I totally have. And second, I had and still have nothing to do with these activities. Sure, I've had a tequila shot or two like a handful of times, but the minute I started loving working out about 4 years ago, I never even gave a thought to alcohol, which led me to distance myself from some crab bucket fake friends who told me I've changed. I'm still pissed off about that. Don't listen to these losers who put you down for improving yourself. They don't want to see you grow because they're wasting their time, while you're getting far ahead of them, and it makes them and their fragile ego feel bad. And it should. But anyways, my land whale of a boss, she was a very unpleasant person, attacked me because of my passion for working out. My habit was so strong, I loved it with all my heart. I couldn't wait to get to the gym, and when I was finished with my workout, I did a couple more finishers and had to drag myself out of there. Now here was this woman who drank bottles of Coca-Cola every day, acting like the literal chief inspector of the General Health Administration, telling me how unhealthy my addiction to working out was. What? Do you even logic? I didn't want to argue and outshine my master unnecessarily and simply agreed. But I added I'd rather have my addiction, my running high as she called it, than any other addiction. I was proud of myself and how determined I was in the gym. I wasn't going to let anybody discourage me, least of all her. And I hope you will do the same thing and you won't let anybody discourage you from replacing your bad habits with positive ones that will only multiply in number. Ignore all the noise. I'm not going to take a fat person's weight loss advice. I'm not going to take a poor person's investment advice. I think this is fairly obvious. Be careful who you listen to, especially when they're close to you. Bad habits are often linked with peer pressure and groupthink. That is why you gotta think for yourself and be self-reliant. As we've discussed many times on this channel already, I got part 2 on this book coming out tomorrow, where we get into the nitty-gritty of changing a habit to a positive one. Be sure to check that one out, and don't forget to subscribe in order to establish watching my practical videos as one of your good habits, instead of watching clickbait celebrity top 10 something lists that require zero talent to make, before I start doing that because it's more profitable. I'm kidding, but I'm also kinda serious. On the internet, whatever you click on, you make more of. Please keep that in mind and have a great day. Talk to you soon.